The College of Mount St. Vincent is the great example of tremendous female senior leadership. From our president, Dr. Burns, to our vice presidents and our senior team with Madeline and Dr. O and Lynn Bongiovanni, you're talking about great role models for our students throughout the campus. And it starts at the top, and we're fortunate to have that. And in the 50th year anniversary of Title IX, it's a great time to celebrate that as well. I've never worked on a campus with so many great female leaders, and I think that we're blessed to have that. So to me, Title IX started the process of evening the playing field for women, giving them programming that they so greatly deserved that they never got. I know for me, someone who played high school sports and college sports in the 80s and the 90s, I saw how little they were receiving. The scholarships weren't the same. The opportunity wasn't the same. So it started the process of making everything equal. Yeah, certainly opportunity is the #1 gain for me in Title IX. Adding programming from the bottom up. Grassroots programming for girls sports in elementary school and middle school. Adding high school programming that never existed in women's sports. And then to the college level, adding scholarship sports. Taking away some, unfortunately, scholarships from men and evening out how scholarships are giving out at the collegiate level. And then obviously right up to the pro level where, you're talking about in the mid-90s, the WNBA begins because of the great Olympic teams and because of Title IX. You're talking 1999 U.S. Women's World Cup team that sparks the whole soccer professional league. And these were all opportunities that wouldn't have been available without Title IX. Our celebration committee, we have some wonderful student athletes and staff and coaches on the committee. Programming will start this summer and continue through next spring. We'll bring events to games, we'll bring events to our campus, we'll bring obviously social media content and video content, and some written essays by some really great people. Yeah, I'm a little biased towards making sure women's sports gets above and beyond what maybe the normal athletic department gets. I've been in women's basketball for 30 years at the high school and collegiate level, and I knew what it was in the 80s and 90s for women's sports not to get that much. So I kind of go out of my way to make sure our women's programs feel like they have everything they need and more, without neglecting our men's programs. And I think it's important. Title IX is to make sure we keep things moving in the right direction, and hopefully we could keep the student-athlete experience on a high level for both men and women, but certainly the women's programs who at our level can't get scholarships can get the funding necessary to make our female student-athletes feel great. Watching what's happened in my 30 years in women's athletics and in women's basketball has been amazing. I remember going out on the road recruiting in the mid-90s, and there wasn't that many AAU teams, there wasn't that many club teams out there. Nowadays, if you go out there, there's thousands of young girls at an AAU event, playing basketball because they love it, maybe getting a scholarship because they're really good, but having the opportunity to choose to do that and spend their summers traveling with a team and with their families. When I became a Division II coach on Long Island at Dowling College, we played in a middle school, but we made it the best experience we could for our young ladies. We just didn't know that there was more out there. And as I got to the next level at USC Aiken, we were fully funded. We had 10 scholarships to give out in Division II. It made the experience better. We went out and fundraised for our young ladies to be able to get them the best sneakers and the best uniforms. And by the time I got to Division I in the early 2000s, we demanded things. We demanded that we be treated like the men's basketball program. And by the time I got done with that, we were probably getting more than the men's basketball program. And it was all about giving our student athletes what we felt they deserved and what they've earned. And so I've seen a large improvement in my 30 years, but there's such a long way to go, and that's why we need our young people to be great stewards of female athletics, from the grassroots up to the pros. You know, obviously exposure is very important. So, you know, it used to be that you would see one game from the NCAA tournament on ESPN or two games. Now ESPN has brought the whole package for the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Softball, they brought the whole softball package for the Softball College World Series. It's must-see TV. It's on ESPN, it's on ESPN2. Social media is doing a great job of promoting our women's sports. That's got to continue, and it's got to get to another level, and the TV contracts have to get better on the women's side, so more money is funded in to women's athletics, especially in the NCAA. You saw a couple years ago where the women's basketball swag bags weren't as good as the men's bag, and that went viral. And immediately the NCAA tried to rectify that, and it's a mistake they shouldn't make again. But we also want those TV packages to represent how important our women's sports are as well. Yeah, the next generation has to keep moving it forward. They have to keep moving the needle. There were some fabulous people that worked very hard to bring Title IX to where it is right now, but it's fluid. We have to keep reaching for more goals and more things that we could add on the women's side, especially in college athletics. And the people that started this in the 70s and the 80s and 90s, it's their time to pass the torch to the new generation. And the new generation has to be just as passionate about taking everything to the next level.